Today, for a change, I decided to cover a very recent topic, the shoplifting crisis in the big cities of the US, and how the shops are trying to prevent it. And why did I choose this topic specifically? Because it shouldn't be like that. Because it's not normal. And of course, because it's absurd. And just to be clear, in this video I'm talking about the two largest agglomerations in the US, Los Angeles and New York. It's these megacities which saw the largest increase in such crimes, and subsequently where the extra security measures in stores were implemented on a massive scale. So let me present to you a summary of the story of those rigorous security changes in retail stores, different techniques used by stores to ensure the safety of their merchandise, as well as the society's reaction to them. So sit back, relax, and let's have a cup of absurdity. Shoplifting has existed for as long as the concept of shops themselves. It was, however, never as bad as it is right now, at least in the US urban areas. The reason for that is both simple and complicated, because I could just say that it's because of regulation and societal changes, and I would be pretty much right. But as we dig deeper and pull back the layers, well, it becomes even simpler. The people steal because they can. This video is about the recent past and the present, so I will save you a historical background on theft, as we'd be here till next week if I decided to do that. Instead, let's jump straight into the year 2020. During the pandemic, the policy changes caused an initial reduction in shoplifting rates, especially in urban areas, thanks to the situation becoming better with less crime as people were huddled up in their homes. Further policy changes were implemented, especially in California and New York. For example, the bail for shoplifting crimes was first lowered, then completely erased. Another incredibly important change was the heightening of the monetary value threshold of stolen items that required a police response, as it was set to a whopping $950. This was also the border above which shoplifting began to be considered a felony. And of course, even below this threshold, perpetrators would still face prosecution if their faces could be seen at all. I mean, if they could be identified. Because remember, this was during the pandemic, so guess what? Mask mandates were a thing. Yeah, whether it was the incompetence or lack of communication, or even conspiracy as some have suggested, the fact is that the way to avoid punishment for shoplifting was to adhere to governmental regulations. Despite the law being far more lenient on petty crime than before, after these changes, the shoplifting rates actually still went down. But this is not the cause and effect at play, right? Or maybe it is? Let's think about it. Who could these regulations have discouraged more? The thieves from stealing? Or the shop owners from reporting the incidents? And the police from responding to them and registering them? Yeah, the drop in the statistics can be easily explained by that. Why report a shoplifting in value under the felony limit if the criminal is long gone and won't be pursued? And many store owners reported that their calls to the police were often met with silence on the other side. And it was not by accident. No, it was fully intentional. The police have long complained that shoplifting reports ate up a lot of resources and work hours of the officers and urged the shops to increase their security measures. And in the end, the stores obliged. But more on this in a moment. The social justice protests/riots, which happened at the end of 2020 and in 2021, did of course heavily add to the shoplifting statistics. This specific crime went up to its pre-pandemic level and then kept growing. After all, looting is no different from shoplifting, except by scale. The real increase in shoplifting rates started at the end of the lockdowns in 2022, and they have been steadily rising since. Let's have a quick look at the numbers. From January 2019 to July 2023, the reported shoplifting rates in New York increased by 64%, and in Los Angeles by 61%. To be honest, in the same time, some cities saw a drastic decrease in shoplifting rates. For example, Minneapolis saw a 51% lower shoplifting rates. What may be the reason for such varied numbers? 3 words: soft on crime. And 3 more words: defund the police. The states and cities that adopted policies dictated by these sentiments saw a terrifying increase not only in shoplifting but in all violent crime. Coincidentally, those cities were also the ones to see the most activity related to social justice disagreements. For example, Seattle went from a shoplifting rate of 18.97 in June 2020 to 74.37 in February of 2022, and San Francisco rates rose from 7.93 in June 2020 to 52.74 in March 2022. Remember, those are rates of crime per 100,000 inhabitants, the official number of inhabitants at least. Some people, like Axios reporter Kelly Tyko, claim that the problem isn't that bad and only about 2% of shoppers act in bad faith. Let's assume that it's true and analyze that statement. For example, Target operates 1,978 stores in the United States as of February 2025, and they see around 30 million shoppers weekly. With some simple maths, it would mean that there are around 86,000 shoplifters daily, only at Target stores. Considering that most shoplifters don't visit every retail chain store in the area every day, I'd say these numbers are a bovine waste, but even if we tone this number down tenfold, it would be still thousands of cases per one retail chain per day. But for the media, it seems to be a negligible problem. The upper echelons of the large retail corporations have spoken at length about this problem and the need for increased security. We saw many recordings online of frustrated employees filming people walking out with baskets full of groceries and paying for them with a smile and a wave of an extended middle finger. The typical store staff lacks measures and options to face the threat of multiple shoplifters who may turn aggressive if someone tried to stop them. So there weren't many choices for the shops other than hiring a private army or limiting the access of shoppers to the goods. Look, I understand that people feel that they're unjustly treated. I understand the feeling that you're owed something by society itself. But as I mentioned before, cause and effect, to quote the Matrix. If those things happen, do not be surprised that an opposite action will be taken. Meanwhile, while all that is going on, the legacy media and their experts try to convince everyone that this isn't really happening. They argue that the problem is simply a talking point that gets promoted by people who benefit from such narration. Man, I would love to be a legacy media expert, such an easy job. Anyway, their explanations for 100 billion retail shrink due to this seemingly non-existent problem are now pending. Well, it takes a long time to craft a good story, right? Maybe long enough for everyone to forget about it. But the data cited by the news media is quite compelling. It shows that the people have a tendency to overestimate crime statistics. So maybe it's really all in our heads? Well, maybe. But we cannot forget about a few things that point to the opposite being true. Law changes causing some previously pursued crimes to become misdemeanors, less crimes being reported due to police ineffectiveness or even sheer number of crimes being committed, and of course the mistakes and manipulations in data gathering. So I think everyone should make up their own mind about the statistics at least. Still, it seems that retail workers are quite sure that this particular kind of crime is undeniably up. And I, for one, am inclined to believe them, as they are on the front lines of this whole show. So the store owners have taken steps to prevent shoplifting incidents from happening. It started quite typically by putting plastic cases over more valuable items, or those that were popular among the payment-skeptical shoppers. But what is a plexiglass case against a good old hammer? Given that, the retailers had to get creative. First putting goods behind plexiglass doors, requiring employee assistance every time a client wished to purchase an item like nail polish. Then it went down like an avalanche. Bottles chained to shelves. Alarms on stakes. Yeah, some stores put their meat in a net, no pun intended, with an alarm on it to be removed at the checkout. That's indeed wild. Not to mention artificial intelligence-driven video analytics at the point of sale, removal of self-checkout, and anti-theft shopping carts. And in the end, the ultimate form of safe shopping. Imagine walking around the aisles without any products on them, just the pictures, scanning the codes onto an app, and by the time you're done, the employee is waiting with your groceries at the checkout. This one is actually kind of brilliant, if our humanity wasn't in the way. The groceries are not ready on time. Maybe when you go out shopping late, then they'll manage to pack it up on time. But otherwise you'll be standing in a queue far longer than at a traditional checkout, since it's the employees who have to retrieve all goods for every shopper there. But hey, you can at least live out some of your cyberpunk dreams, I guess. So these stores are quickly becoming impenetrable fortresses, but at what cost? The people, both law-abiding citizens and the shoplifters alike, do not take kindly to those changes. Those who never participated in stealing dislike it because it makes shopping more complicated, takes longer, and creates an oppressive atmosphere of fear. And the reasons for which the thieves dislike them are rather obvious. Malfunctioning anti-theft technology is also disrupting the daily lives of people and causing them to lose precious time. The false triggering of alarms and automatically blocking cards are just some of such situations, and clearing someone of suspicion takes time for proper procedures to be conducted, during which a good American citizen looks like a suspected thief, and that is humiliating, to say the least. And the simple tediousness of having to ask an employee to open a plexiglass case or deal with problems which arise en masse have severely degraded the customer experience, leading of course to lower customer numbers. So why is it the current situation? Are we as a society so untrustworthy that we can't even shop like we used to? Then why aren't other countries having such a problem? Is it that the US policies and law creates a huge gap in the standard of living, pushing some frustrated individuals to reach a higher status through petty crime, especially when they know they won't be getting a wanted poster for it? Well, no matter what it is, the people don't deserve to shop like prisoners. And then again, to make shopping back into what it once was, it's the people that need to change. Putting accountability back on the individual, shunning thieves and disapproval of thievery must come back if we want to take off the alarms from stakes. Otherwise, I'm afraid that it may soon come down to a point where we'll be doing all our shopping online, paying online, and then get the items delivered, which can lead to its own problems like porch piracy or attacks on delivery men, which may in turn result in an armored convoys for food deliveries. Yeah, you get it. Not a pretty picture. And if anyone who participated in such activities is currently listening, please hear me out. You may be excited for such a future if you're like a Fallout or Mad Max fan, but remember, real life is not a movie or a game. And in the end, you're not the protagonist. You can only be a hero of your own story, so use this chance to be one. Do not become a villain. And you can blame society all you want, but ultimately it's your choice. And a million bad choices can lead to a terrifying future for billions. I hope that you make the right call. And you might call me an optimist, but I think it's gonna be alright when Gavin Newsom himself signs a bill to ensure harsher penalties for shoplifters. You can be sure that the problem has been noticed, as of course he was probably one of the last people to start taking care of this problem, or rather stop pretending to not see the problem. A huge thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video despite me getting all preachy and philosophical there near the end. I promise that it won't be a regular occurrence. Remember to leave this video a like and subscribe for more absurdity. I appreciate any feedback, so feel free to speak your mind in the comments. Stay safe and absurd, and see you in the next video.